Knee-jerk insurance objections. Have you ever experienced them? Most likely you have. This is when you have somebody say, just show me the price early on in the face-to-face or the telesales presentation. What I'm going to do in this video is give you some advice on how to overcome that objection with a very easy-to-use script and give you kind of some other examples of what you would hear in a knee-jerk objection so you can be ready to overcome them. Greetings and salutations. My name is David Duford, owner of Duford Insurance Group, where I train and recruit agents nationally to sell things like final expense, Medicare, and annuities over the phone. Thanks so much for watching, and if you happen to like this stuff, please subscribe to my channel and like the video. So let's define knee-jerk objections to begin with so you kind of know exactly what we're talking about. These are objections that you're hearing very early on in your face-to-face or telesales insurance presentation. They manifest in the form of something like, most commonly, don't sell me, just tell me what the price is, or what is this about? They sound like, and basically are questions that people say that sound seemingly harmless in some capacities, but have the potential to very early on derail you from your sales presentation, to get you off script and likely lose control, thus lose greatly the opportunity to actually make the sale. So the key thing when we're dealing with knee-jerk objections is we want to answer them as quickly as possible and get back on script so that we retain control of the sales presentation. And what I teach you to do that is a three-letter acronym called ASK, which is A, answer the objection, S, sell why you're not going to answer it or whatever it is, and then close, and in this case, get back to the script maybe by asking a question. So let's take a common objection that we hear, such as, what does this cost? A lot of this here, we hear this very early on in a telesales presentation, certainly a face-to-face presentation. Well, my answer to that is very simple. Hey, that's a good question. I'm going to get to that in a few minutes. I just need to ask you a few questions. So how's your day going? How long you been in business, or whatever the question is that gets you back into the script. So this particular type of answer to this objection is very earnest. It's direct to the point. It gives a good reason why you can't do that. And then you go back by closing by asking a question and retaining control from the prospect. Now, again, how does this actually work and why is it good? Well, so if I say, hey, that's a good question, that acknowledges that they're thoughtful and what they're saying is a good thing to ask. We give them a reason why we can't do it. In this case is, let me come back to that later after I ask a few questions and I can give you a better statement or better answer. And then the closing question is just by asking another question. So how long you been in business? Or what were your thoughts and concerns when you sent back this information? So how long have you lived in Chattanooga, Tennessee? It can be really any kind of question, but the important thing is to ask a question. And the reason why is because asking questions is the easiest way to control the flow and the direction of the conversation. If you're the one answering a question, you're not in control. You're the one that you're following the person answering or asking the question, and you're following their lead. And the one who's asking the questions is telling you where to go and basically what you should be thinking. So what we want to do with somebody who asks us a question is to simply ask a question back of them. And most people are just going to answer the question because that's what we've been trained to do, is when we're asked a question, we answer it. And then they don't know it, but we do now. We're back in control. We're controlling the direction of this conversation, and we don't need to be worried about being derailed anymore. So if somebody says something like, why don't you just mail me some info and I'll get back to you? My answer to that is, hey, that's a good question. Let me just go over this really quickly with you. It's better if I just explain it to you. And then I ask a question. So how's your day been treating you? Or whatever the question is. If somebody says, hey, is this some kind of free insurance program? My answer to that is, hey, that's a great question. There's a lot of different programs out there. I'm definitely going to go over that. Then I answer or ask a question. So what were your thoughts and concerns when you sent back this information? So how does this work? They ask that question. My answer is, hey, that's a good question. Let me go over that in a minute because there's a lot of different options. I'm going to ask you some questions. And then I go ask them a question. So how long have you lived in Chattanooga? So these are just some examples of common knee-jerk objections that you'll hear early on in sales presentation. And the good news is that 99% of the time, this is a suitable answer that the client will accept. And then you can get back on your script and don't need to worry about arguing over who's in control and who's asking questions. So you got to do this consistently. Otherwise, if you start to answer their questions on their terms, they take control, you lose control, and you don't get the sale. Hope this helps you overcome some of those frustrating early objections. I promise if you put this type of training into action, and you are responding this way to these kind of early onset questions, that you're going to overcome a lot of that early resistance. You're going to get control of the conversation and make more sales. My name is David DeFord, owner of DeFord Insurance Group. If you're interested in looking at joining my agency to sell things like final expense Medicare and annuities, click the links above and below. It'll take you to some overview pages and explainer videos on how things work with me. If you like this video, subscribe, and like the video, thumbs it up, of course, and leave a comment, suggestion, or thought below in the comments. I'll be happy to personally answer them. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you.